Hello there, it's Carrie here from the Health Shift Project, and today we're going to talk about sex. Did I grab your attention? We're doing something a little bit differently today on the Facebook Live session. We are taking a video clip from a podcast recording of myself, Dr. Amanda, and Shelley discussing transitions. And as we were talking about that topic, a personal story. I'm going to share something very personal in this clip about a story of me transitioning into the next phase of life and entering menopause and how that has affected my libido. So we're doing it a bit differently. I'm going to share this clip. I am here in the background. I want you to continue to communicate with me and chat. I'd love to hear from you if you are currently going through some sort of life transition. It may not be the same as mine, but I'm just curious if you are going through some sort of life transition, what that is, what it's like for you. Is it something big for you? Is it quite mild? How are you dealing with it? Is it shaking your world? Or are you flowing through and adjusting and adapting quite nicely? Hope you're doing well. Would love to hear in your comments. So enjoy this clip and please.
Yeah, that's when you're asking that comes to me a lot, only because that's personally what I'm going through. I'm going through the life transition. I am in menopause, so I am relearning my body, and that's what's top of mind for me. So when I'm thinking of transitions, I'm thinking menopause.
And how do you view that as a timeline of transition for you within sort of the mental emotional piece of like where you were before, where you are during, and then where you expect to be as you move through it?
Yeah.
Do you think of it in a big picture way like that, or?
I think I am more now, and I've come to terms with it. Like when it was kind of first starting, and like my body was doing different things that I wasn't used to, that I didn't like. Like for example, my libido was gone, and that made me go, like, I feel dead inside. Like, who is this person? And I'm not feeling the same. And it was just so different. And I'm coming, one, to terms with it, that, life is different, and that physical relationship with my husband, is changing, and having some conversations with him. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. And I'm doing things for it. But when it first happened, I kind of went like, I felt more distant from my husband too, because sex is such an important part of.
And it's part of who you were, and part of your relationship.
Yes, that's right. And so and then I didn't feel as close and things, and it's like, what is happening? Why? And I honestly felt dead inside, and it felt really weird.
Wow.
Like I didn't feel as close. Actually, it was one of Lorna Vanderhay's book on menopause that I read, and she talked about libido and things like that, and I loved what she said, that we can look at it in a different way now, and you can start to have a different kind of relationship with your partners. And I loved that, so I'm just trying to look at it in a different, and maybe I feel differently, in my body as I'm relearning that. But looking at intimacy in a different way. And it's not that I haven't always looked at having a deep conversation in an intimate way. I do. But it kind of connecting that with, what that's now maybe replacing what sex was or whatever. And I'm not saying like I'm completely dead. That is non-existent, but it's different. It's much different now at this stage of life. And I have been told by other friends and things, like, it comes back. It's like, okay, good. Yeah. It does.
There's so many transitions that are like that, because when they happen, they're so monumental, and they create so much chaos in your life situation or whatever it is, that the first thing we often go for is, I just want it the way that it used to be.
Right. That's exactly it.
And there's a bit of mourning.
There's mourning.
I was mourning
Yeah.
100%.
The aha comes when you realize maybe what's next could be better. Maybe what comes, what I discover that's different could be a whole new thing that I could have never experienced if I was just clinging to the old.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing about transition, that there's part of when you go over the hump is when you stop clinging to the way it has to be the old way.
Yeah.
And
You suffer when you're
something-
holding on
yes.
to what was, is the suffering.
That's exactly it. And I do think the mourning, like you said, is an important part of that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, mourn that, let that go. Okay, I am morphing into this new individual in this new body, and it's gonna be okay, and it's we're looking forward to it can be good and different
and finding your models of people
Yeah.
who you're seeing who've done it, who've found happiness and satisfaction and everything beyond their transition, and then saying, I want that, whatever that is, teach me about that. And then, those things will start falling in front of your path, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And so Christian Northrup is another one who I love. Like when you say, I want that, like I listen to her stuff a lot. And that's why I chose the book, Goddesses Never Age, for this month's book.
I've not heard of this book
that'll
before.
be
I've read it actually before, and I'd love to read it again and share it with people. It has some nice little nuggets, and I just love her. I think she's amazing, and
So
she's
tell
a
me a little bit
mentor.
more about it. I'm not familiar with the book at all. So is it about menopause, or is it just about transition?
No, it would be, like, I mean, she does definitely, a lot of it is about, not necessarily menopause, but older women. And not just women, and I'm not saying that this book is just for women. It's kind of nice if men do read it to help understand. And I think there'd be nuggets in there for men that they could take for themselves, but also the lovely ladies in their lives. But she does talk about sex as well, like and exploring your own body and what our physical lady parts are like, and I love that.
Because it comes
what
from
she
an
talks about.
OBGYN perspective, right? Who
Exactly.
actually understands the physiology of these parts.
physiology, but just emotional aspects of aging, and that could be from any stage of life.
Yeah.
Any
There's so many
transition.
transitions in the big numbers.
And she talks about, like, she discovered dancing as much later in life, tango dancing, and how for her it is very sexual, and so there's a kind of a sexual kind of thing that she experienced that she's having through dance, and what that meant to her, and how that helped her.
I would have thought of that word as to maybe sensuality.
Sensual.
That's not a word you would think about in your 20s and 30s. It would be all very more sexuality based or lust based, or whereas you discover new aspects of human interaction and intimacy and sensuality and all those things that you can't do with your 20-year-old brain.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. You just haven't experienced enough of the width of life, of the breadth of what's available within relationships, within grief. Because when you do experience certain levels of grief and mourning, it expands you in a way to feel more things with much more intensity. And that includes positive things like sensuality or connection with a partner or whatever. It allows for deeper things to happen once you've been through tough stuff and made it through.
Right. Yeah. And how certain life experiences, like dancing the tango, you can have this sensual experience and feel alive and awake again. And I feel like I'm looking for a little bit more of that. I've been thinking a lot lately how, so I just turned 49, and so I'm going to be turning 50 next year, and that's been on my mind a lot too. And I'm struggling with it a little bit. I didn't struggle with turning 40, but I think I'm going to struggle with turning 50. In my mind is keep putting different things. So I'm playing with it, and I'm starting to see it differently. And I started to think, how did I feel in my 20s? And I remember feeling so excited with new projects and new things that my life is turning. And I'm like, Carrie, you've got lots of new exciting things coming in, like, for example, this. And why aren't you allowing that same excitement in as I was feeling in my 20s? Because this is darn exciting. And so I'm just talking myself through a little bit differently. And like, why aren't you allowing yourself to feel that excitement that you did? Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining us today. One thing I did want to share is in the membership area of the Health Shift Project, I did share an article of how I've personally dealt with my menopause symptoms like the libido and hot flashes in a natural way. And I shared some great information that may be useful to you if you are currently dealing with menopause symptoms. So if you currently are a member, I encourage you to check out that article. If you're not a member, it's never too late to join. We are still running our special introductory offer for the rest of this month and in October as well. So visit our website at thehealthshiftproject.com for more information on how to join. And then once you're a member, please do check out my article on menopause symptoms, and I'm going to be continually adding to that with more information. Great. Have a wonderful Monday and week. Love you all.